What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. Today, we have on, back again, by the way, first repeat guest on the podcast,
Hey,
Rio Robinson. Welcome to the show.
what's going on, man? First repeat guest,
Yeah,
man. Love to hear that, man. Thank you for having me.
no problem, no problem. It's been great. I know we've been gone. The podcast has been gone for like a month. I went on a trip. I got sick. I'm better now. We're good. So, and a lot has happened in this last month.
Whole bunch.
Washington has pretty much dominated pretty much every team that they've played against over this last month and a half. We've won 6 of the last 7 games, which is crazy. I don't remember having a winning streak like this or a group of wins like this in quite some time. It's definitely been quite a few years since we've probably won 6 out of the last 7. I don't know exactly when it was, but
Crazy.
it's been a lot. 1-4 to 7-5 is just crazy to me. So, I mean, why do you think this Commanders team has just gone on from 1-4 now 7-5? What do you think has been the big shift into getting back to the winning ways?
For one, we haven't had 7 wins before the month of December since 2008. Where were you born? Around 2000,
I was
like
I
2004,
was born in 2006. So
2006. You were 2 years old. You were a toddler last
yeah,
time this team has had 7 wins before December. So that
yeah.
should not be something that's scoffed at. But this team is winning
Mhm.
because the run game and the defense. The defense is playing outstanding.
Out of their minds right now. It's crazy.
How far we've come since booing Jack Del Rio back in July when they were doing training camp practices to him being the best coach on the staff right now. It's crazy. He's
Yeah.
finally utilizing talent. I think the firing of Sam Mills and
Hmm.
with Zanina and Kerrigan, whatever they're teaching our defensive line up
Yeah.
front, they're taking the tutelage and they're performing at ridiculous level. Jonathan Allen is playing at an all-pro level. Deron
Hmm.
Payne is playing at a Pro Bowl level. Montez Sweat is on pace for his first double-digit sack season of his career. They're playing great. We're finally seeing the ascension and consistent growth of Jamin Davis, and
Yes.
our safety pairing of Cam Curl and Derek Forrest are outstanding. That unit is not
It's
getting enough credit. I'm not taking away the effect that Taylor Heinicke has on the team. Guys get juiced up to play with him. The moxie and the
yeah.
energy he brings, it definitely galvanizes the locker room. But I think personally, his play leaves a lot to be desired, and it's being carried by the defense and the run game. And I
Hmm.
think the narrative that fans run with the Heinicke 6-1 and Heinicke this, Heinicke beat
Yeah.
Rodgers, I think we need to pump the brakes on that, and we need to put some respect on what the defense and what Brian Robinson
Hmm.
Jr. and Antonio Gibson are doing on the run game, because it's got us smack dab in the middle of the NFC playoff picture.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We're right now sitting in the 7th seed with the Seahawks overtime loss to the Raiders on Sunday. So right now it's basically on us if we want to make the playoffs or not, because right now we're sitting in it and we control our own destiny. Going back to Taylor Heinicke, I do feel like something with this team, something with all the veterans that have been with Heinicke. When Wentz was in, I don't feel like people were trying as hard as they were when Heinicke stepped on that field and started his first game. I forgot which one that was.
Oh,
But it I
was it the
forgot.
Packers game?
It might have been the Packers one. I think that might have been the first
Yeah,
one.
his first game was the
Yeah.
Packers.
Yeah, that was yeah. And then the teams just looked completely different since then. Yes, we won 1 or 2 games in that winning streak before that, but this team since the Packers game has they're playing at another level. I know Heinicke has not played great. Okay, it's kind of like the Jimmy Garoppolo where he can get the job done sometimes, and he can be good enough so that all the pieces you've built around him can succeed. But I just don't think he's that guy. And again, wins, in my opinion, are not a quarterback stat. So it's kind of a little bit off and on in terms of some people
It's
are good
very
with Heinicke. Yeah, it's very varied.
him and Wentz present their own roller coaster of emotions. Like,
Yes.
and honestly, we didn't have a set or stable offensive line group when Wentz was in, nor did we have a run game, and nor was the defense playing good. The defense was
That's
giving
true.
up a lot of stuff when Wentz was playing. Like, I don't mean to start a quarterback controversy. Whoever is playing well, win games and go out there and ball out. But
Yeah.
I don't like Taylor is doing almost enough, but he's also doing enough for the other teams to
Yeah.
keep them in games each week. And it makes me want to pull my hair out at times. And
Yeah.
as soon as you have any objective criticism or constructive criticism about Taylor Heinicke, the fans grab pitchforks because they're formed these hives and these factions for these players. I just want to see the team win. I'm happy that we're winning, but I really don't care who's in at quarterback. And I would not be surprised if at some point down the stretch, Ron goes back to the guy he's paying $28 million. But we're not there right now. We're
Yeah.
winning games right now. Keep the ball rolling. Taylor, please play as good as the fans
Yeah.
treat you, because
Yeah.
we might be an unstoppable force if we see playoff versus Tampa Heinicke ever again.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right now, I saw that we were sitting in the playoffs if the season ended today. I know we're a little bit ahead here, but we'd be playing the Vikings, and that's a team that we definitely contended with. Again, 4 of our 5 losses have come against teams with 7 or more wins. So this team is a very it's been a harder schedule than I feel like people have were thinking about coming into the season. I think there's a lot of teams like the Giants, for one, that have a much better record than what people expected them to have. But we are contending against good teams. You can take out the first Eagles game and you can take out the Cowboys game as well. And then the Lions, I feel like, was just an off day. But we beat an Eagles team that was the hottest in the NFL. We were a penalty away. And again, I know it's not just a penalty, but basically a penalty away from getting a chance at beating the Vikings in the final few minutes. I think this team is definitely a lot better than what people are giving them credit for. And again, a lot has gone. A lot of the praise should be going to the defense and the offensive line. And Brian Robinson, I can praise a lot of people right now, but mainly because of that defense and that front seven as well has just been so good.
Oh, they've been excellent, man. That defensive unit is getting after it, man. Like you said, we choked against the Vikings. We had the second seed in the conference up 10 points with 11 minutes left in the game, and we had our chances. We had a terrible turnover. That interception Heinicke threw absolutely killed us. Scott called some dumb stuff, and we also had that Benjamin St. Juice pick 6 that was called back because of some hand fighting with Jefferson. But this team looks to me, in a conference that does not have a juggernaut like the Chiefs or the Bills, they are competent quarterback play away from contending for the conference right now as we speak.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, back to the defense. St. Juice was out against the Falcons on Sunday, but our secondary didn't. I mean, we bended, I felt like, but we didn't break. The Marcus Mariota had some. There's a lot of yak that I felt like for the Falcons wide receivers, and Mariota had some stuff across the middle of the field that was pretty open. But for Rashad Wildgoose and a 7th-round pick in Christian Holmes being our cornerback 2 and 3, I think we fared pretty well against the Falcons and Drake London and those guys. Again, okay. So Jamin Davis, I threw a lot of hate at him over this last summer and over this last offseason. I know a lot of other people did too. It was pretty bad, but I have to apologize. He has played great so far this season. On that first drive against the Falcons, he was everywhere. I felt like
don't apologize though. Like, as fans, we have to call out bad play when we see it, bad coaching when we see it. We got to hold them accountable. We're the people who pay and take time and dedicate energy. We create content. We take precious time out of our days to talk about these guys. If they're not performing, call it out. So we don't necessarily have to apologize, but he is balling. Continue what you were saying. My bad.
Yeah, it's fine. No, it's fine. I completely agree. He was pretty much just all over the field. On that first drive, it felt like every tackle was him. Every time they got a tackle across the middle of the field or on the sideline, it was him every time. So I just want to shout him out and how well he's been playing, especially in the last few weeks as well. So I feel like He's starting. I don't know if he's 100% there yet, but he's starting to fill. I know he's been calling plays recently, which has been a big improvement, which we love to see. So he's starting to really fill into that role that Ron Rivera and this defensive coaching staff thought that he would be. I don't know from day one, but definitely a lot better last season than he is this season. Sorry, a lot. Yeah,
it's been a blessing in disguise,
Mhm.
Cole Holcomb's injury for Jamin Davis,
Yeah.
because he's completely had to take over that room. He got the green dot now. He has play calling responsibility, and he
Mhm.
stepped up and he's taken that role head on, and he's been balling and growing every week. I'm proud of the growth of Jamin Davis, and I'm
Mhm.
proud of what Jack Del Rio, Ron, Coach Zanina, what these guys are doing with that defense right now, because they're finally starting to look like the
Mhm.
unit we imagined when we drafted all these first round guys, and we still haven't put the cherry on top of that unit yet. We're
Yeah.
still waiting on one more.
So waiting on one more to come back. Hopefully he comes back this week against the Giants, but I don't know. I have a gut feeling that they're just gonna make him wait through the bye. But I mean, maybe we see a little bit of him before the bye, just see what he can do. Because if he does play, it's only gonna be probably 15, 20 snaps. Maybe it's not gonna be a full starter playing time. The second, I already talked about the secondary, but the safeties as well. We talked about them a little bit. They're playing great. Derek Forrest, he had some big time hits in the game against the Falcons. Like
Woo.
he was knocking people over. There was a tight end or a fullback that just got decked by Forrest on a run play that was like 7 or 8 yards, which felt like the momentum kind of shifted to the Falcons for a second, and then you saw Derek Forrest just come in and smack the crap out of that tight end, and then the crowd goes wild, and it's basically the Commanders still had momentum because of that hit, which was great. Shout out to him. Cam Curl's been playing pretty well. Now, in my opinion, looking at the film, I know Cam Curl, he's definitely playing pretty well, but I mean, he's not playing incredible, I feel like, in coverage. But
He's not. He's not.
it's, I mean, he's definitely on the down. I feel like since we're praising the entire safety unit, we're kind of praising him too. But we do have to, I mean, you saying like shout out when players play bad. He's not playing his greatest right now. We've definitely seen him
Mhm.
play better.
It's
So
not McCain bad, but it's not
mhm.
as good as he can play. He's not playing to his potential. You're right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Forrest has done great. Yeah, so far this season. So, yeah, that's what it's now. We got the Giants this week. And in the future, or looking at our future schedule again at the Giants this week, we get the Week 14 bye, which I feel like it's going to come in pretty clutch because I feel stamina maybe could be an issue come this playoff run. So I feel even though Week 14 bye is not really what you want at the beginning of the season, I feel like at the pace we're at now, a Week 14 bye, you get to rest up a little bit before you hit that last stretch where you go versus Giants, at Niners, versus Browns and Cowboys. That's pretty much of a tough stretch there. And looking at the schedule, I'd be happy if we go 3-2, but if at that point we'd be 10-7. Well, what do you think here, schedule wise and win wise? We got Giants, 49ers, Browns, Cowboys to finish off the season.
This is the biggest game of the season coming up this Sunday
Mhm.
at MetLife. This game puts us in the driver's seat to pretty much almost confirm that we're going to make the playoffs. And this is why I say that, because we get this 8th victory on Sunday. We go into our bye week. The next 3 weeks, we are game planning for the same team. We beat them on their home turf. We jump them for the 6th seed. We jump them in the playoff seeding,
Mhm.
and then we get to see them again. Meaning, if we could pull off this one, if we finish the sweep of the Giants, we're almost fully 100% guaranteed to make the playoff unless we completely crap the bed and lose out or something. If we could go into the San Francisco game on Christmas Eve 9-5 with 3 chances to get the double-digit wins, I think 9 could get you in the playoffs in the NFC this year. But 9-5 going into Christmas Eve with San Francisco, Cleveland with Deshaun, and then Dallas, you get 3 chances to get the 10 wins, and 10 wins gets you in the playoff. 1
Yeah.
and 2 gets you in the playoffs at that point. That's
Mhm.
why this game this weekend matters so much. I think we finished the season 10-7. I think we split with the Giants. I think we beat Dallas week 18, and then we beat Cleveland, and our loss comes to the San Francisco 49ers and 1 to the Giants.
That's interesting because it feels like once we go 1-2 in the next 3 games, Giants, Niners, we'd be 1-2 in that stretch, and which would put us at 8-7. And
Mhm.
then you're saying we beat the Browns and the Cowboys, so basically we win ourselves at FedEx Field to the playoffs. The momentum and the momentum and the amount of fans that will show up at that Cowboys game if we beat the Browns, I feel like it would be a win and we're in.
It
Uh,
should be. It
if
should be.
we
And there's a chance that Dallas is clinched and not even playing their full allotment and assortment of players. But I want their full roster. I want to play Dak Prescott, but I'm not going to be mad if Cooper Rush comes to FedEx because we owe him one after losing to him earlier in the season before we got our lives together. But yes, that would be an absolute electric atmosphere to close out the first Commander season, playing Dallas, the whiteout game to punch your ticket into the playoff. But I would love to be clinched before then. It would be
I would
nice.
love to think that's
It
before
would
then
be
too.
nice to go into week
Yeah.
18, relax, speed up, like, hey, we're in the playoffs regardless, man.
I agree. But I do think no matter what happens in these next 2 Giants games, we have to win at least one of the stretch of Niners, Browns, Cowboys. And
Mhm.
all 3 of those teams can fight. We've seen this Browns team with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. They've struggled in some games, but they've also been able to fight to the end in other games
Held it
and win
down.
some close matchups. So I don't think the Browns is a easier win. Again, it depends also on how Deshaun plays when he comes back this week, I guess, against the Texans, and then throughout the next few weeks as well. So there's still a lot of questions in this Browns offense, but they have the weapons. David Njoku, we saw making big plays. They got Amari Cooper, who knows Washington's defense pretty well. Let's just say
Very
that.
well.
Yeah, and then the defense as well. When they're healthy, they're pretty good. So, but I mean, but again, when they're not healthy, they're horrendous. So, it's up
Very
to
well.
them there. I'm looking here at the Seahawks schedule because the Seahawks, I feel like, are going to be some main opponents with us for this last or one of these last NFC playoff spots. Their
Mhm.
schedule is they're going to play Los Angeles twice this week and then the final week of the season. But they also have a stretch of at home against San Francisco,
Okay.
at at Arrowhead, and then at home against the Jets.
Oh, that's a bet. That's a bet.
So though, if they lose all 3 of those games, I feel like we control our own destiny. If they lose to San Francisco, Kansas City, New York, or if they get upset by either Los Angeles once or Carolina as well, who's also on the schedule. But I think that 3-game stretch between week 15 and 17, San Francisco at Arrowhead, and then back home against the Jets is going to be a pretty big stretch for the Seahawks and for us as well, watching and keeping our eye on the Seahawks as well to see how they will fare in the final few weeks of the season. But yeah, uh, there's going to be a lot of questions for this future. Any other things you would like to say here about this final stretch?
Oh, yeah. All I'll say also is, hey, Sean McVay, pull off a miracle, man. It would be nice to have some breathing room. If we could win a
Yeah.
game and Seattle lose a game, it would be
Mhm.
nice to go into our bye week just chilling before Seattle goes into that
Mhm.
tough stretch that they go into. But yeah, man, we just got to take care of business, man. We got 5 games left. 3-2 confirms you're in the playoffs. 2-3 is
Mhm.
possible. You can't win less than 2 games, period.
Yeah, I agree with that. And okay, I know it's a little bit ahead, but do you think if the Commanders do blow it here in this 5-game stretch, 1 win, and don't make the playoffs, do you think Ronald's on the hot seat?
I think
Or do you think he's locked? Do you think he's locked for this 2023 season no matter
I
what?
think he'll be here regardless in 2023 because fingers crossed, I think we will be under new ownership. And by the time that the team sale will have to take place, the hiring period will already be passed. So Ron and company are automatically going to be here in 2023, regardless how the season plays out.
Mhm.
But yeah, just that would be horrible though. Like if we just went 1-4 down the stretch
Yeah.
and ended up going 8-9 after getting ourselves smack dab in the middle of the playoff picture, it would be bad. And it would almost feel like it was a wasted season because we went from 7 wins to 7 wins to 8 wins. There was really no progress made, and we still haven't found a permanent fixture at the quarterback position. So that would be a disappointing finish to this season. But I think Ron and company are safe here for another year at minimum.
Yeah, I think so too. I didn't bring the ownership into a factor there, but I think yeah, with the new ownership, possibly coming in this next offseason, it'll hit around the time of again the hiring cycle. If it does happen, I feel like it'll hit around the time of the hiring cycle to the start of free agency, somewhere in there. All right. Speaking of the offseason, I was listening to your live stream the other day, and you brought up some pretty interesting points about possibly drafting a quarterback in the 2023 draft. So before I say anything, I want to hear your opinion again of your thoughts on possibly drafting a quarterback in this upcoming draft.
One, I need to know where we're picking, because that matters as well. You can always manipulate and move up and down the draft. The two quarterbacks that are superstars right now, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, even Deshaun Watson, all three of them were acquired by postseason teams who made significant trades up from the 20s. The Bills even traded twice. They traded up from 21 and I believe 14 to get up to 7 or 8 to get Josh Allen. The Chiefs came up from 27 or 28 to 10 or 11 to get Mahomes, to 10 to get Mahomes. And the Texans came up from 27 to 11 to get Deshaun Watson. So it is possible, if you love your guy, even if you did make the postseason, you can get a quarterback, man. You're probably not going to get Stroud or Young unless one of them starts falling down the board. But you can be in the conversation for Will Levis, who's not my favorite quarterback, but I understand the traits. Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, a guy like that. Or if someone decides to drive Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington earlier than expected. But my preference for a quarterback would be a drafted quarterback in the first round. Like, that's usually the formula to how you find your guy. What I don't want us to do, but what I expect us to do, is to make a typical Washington veteran move and either sign Jimmy Garoppolo or trade for Derek Carr or sign him if he's released. That's what I expect Ron and company to do. But I think it's time that we aggressively pursue drafting a quarterback. If we decide to go the veteran route and wait till 2024, I don't know what kind of sorcery you need to do to get it done in the Caleb Williams discussion, because bringing that DMV talent for days and probably Heisman Trophy winner this year, he is what we've been searching for a long time. And I feel very confident in saying that he's probably going to be the first off the board in 2024.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Personally, I agree with a lot of takes. The young Stroud, I expect both of them to probably end up in the top 15 somewhere. And I feel if we do go for a quarterback, that is that, like, if we do trade up for a quarterback into the top 15, I think it has to be CJ Stroud, because Bryce Young is pretty much a lock at number 1 with the Texans. I feel like no one, they're not, it's kind of one of those Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence situations. There's no way you're going to be able to trade up to the number 1 overall pick this year. And then CJ Stroud, I feel, especially with the performance against Michigan, I'm not high on him. The first evaluation I did, I gave him a late first round grade, but he's probably going to end up somewhere between 7 and 15. I feel somewhere around there.
You think he's going to go 7 and 15? I think he's going to still end up in like the top 5, because Stroud is good. Stroud is not mobile as I'd like him to be. He kind of refuses to run, which is kind of a head scratching trait of his. But he put a lot of passes out there that were dropped versus Michigan too. And Michigan just had their number down the stretch. But Stroud's good, man. But I think where we will be drafting and where we could trade up, I think we're in Will Levis, Anthony Richardson from Florida territory. And I think Anthony Richardson is the most intriguing prospect in this class, because he's raw, but just like a few guys I've seen coming out, the Josh Allens in the world, he has all the tools and the traits in the world to mold, and we have a bridge quarterback. We may have 2 bridge quarterbacks on the roster, so we could let him cook for a little bit. And I think Ron could see a lot of Cam Newton, but a better natural passer in Anthony Richardson. I think that's the most interesting name that nobody's talking about as far as this 2023 quarterback class.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm a Gators fan. So I've watched every single Florida game this year, and I've watched Anthony Richardson, and his ceiling is probably the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm going to say it right now. His ceiling, it's maybe 1A, 1B with Patrick Mahomes.
That's all I need to hear. I don't need to hear anything else. Yes, sign me up for that.
Yes, but also, I'm not, again, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. I don't know if it's because me or what NFL draft execs think. I don't think either of them is going to go in the first round. If they do, it'll be in the last 10 picks in the first round. And I feel in those last 12 or 11 picks or whatever, from 20 on in the first round. And so I feel like we could be in prime position to draft a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson, saying that we probably make the playoffs, and if we lose in the first or second round, I think we're in prime position. Maybe we'd have to trade up 4 or 5 spots, maybe depending on where other teams land. But I feel we would probably be in a great position to draft Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. And another guy I want to talk about, again, I think you're against drafting another quarterback in a late day 2 to day 3 scenario, right?
Oh yeah, I don't want no parts of that.
Yeah. So yeah, but if it does happen, okay, a guy that I would keep an eye on is Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
DTR.
He's a very he's like an Anthony Richardson light. I feel
he is.
He can do, and he's a better passer as of now, in my opinion, than Anthony Richardson is. He's more polished, but not. Again, he's not as polished as a CJ Stroud probably or Bryce Young, but he's definitely more accurate, more consistent on his throws than Anthony Richardson. But again, Anthony Richardson, a guy that I have loved ever since he committed to Florida. I would love for him to be a Washington Commander.
Yeah, man. I think that's the play for us. If we make the playoffs, the play is to be in the 20s or the late teens. You take your chance, you roll the dice, or you do the Lamar Jackson thing. You take your corner, you take your Joey Porter Jr. with the 21st pick or whatever, and you take your second round pick. You get right back at the end of the first round because it is important to get that 5th year option when it comes to drafting for quarterbacks. You do the Lamar Jackson thing and you get Anthony Richardson in the building. Y'all love Taylor Heinicke. Let him be the bridge. Let him and Howell compete to be the bridge quarterback while we get this young, uncapped potential talent upside guy ready. And when Richardson's ready to take off, you have your guy for the future.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Now, a name that I wanted to bring up, I think it was someone that brought it up on the podcast before. Maybe it was you. It's Tyler Huntley. He's going to be a free agent this offseason. Would you consider him at all in this stretch?
No, I'm good. Okay. I'm good. Yeah. I'm cool.
That's what I thought.
I'm cool on the retreads. I'm cool on the backup quarterback acquisitions. Like, swing big or just stay put and swing harder in 2024. Like, honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. But if I'm going to trade for a quarterback, it's give me an impossible candidate. Trade for Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers. I don't want Derek Carr via trade. That's pretty much like a little bit of an upgrade from what we did with Wentz this year. I don't want any more like stagnant. Like, I want a significant upgrade, or I want a draft pick that we can mold and develop into a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's swing big or go home at this point, especially if you're thinking about Ron Rivera and the staff, depending on how the dominoes fall at the end of this season. Again, it might come into effect what they want to choose as their quarterback option next year as well.
Well, I have a question for you. Yeah. I have a question for you. If Arizona floated out and put Kyler Murray on the trade block, would you make a call?
I would definitely make a call. 100%.
I think you at least have
110%.
He has attitude issues and he likes to play Call of Duty, but a talent like that at his age, You definitely make the call at
I mean,
least.
I was at training camp. Jamin Davis likes to play Call of Duty too. Okay, so we get basically our defensive quarterback and our actual quarterback to play Call of Duty together. I think we're fine. I think we're good.
Good team
Yeah,
building right
team
there, man.
bonding. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I mean, Kyler Murray definitely. I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what people say. His rushing ability unmatched to anyone not named Lamar Jackson. So I think you did definitely. You make the call too, right? Right?
Oh, I'm definitely
Yeah.
making that call. I have issues
What?
with his effort at times and his personality, but who am I to not call Kyler Murray when our quarterback room is next year is going to be Taylor Heinicke and Sam Howell? Who the hell am I to say no to calling Kyler
What?
Murray?
What do you think it would take to get him though? On
I
a
don't know.
massive contract.
He has a
Massive contract.
Yeah, he does have a massive contract. I don't really care about money because NFL money is like monopoly money, and good teams find a way to manipulate it. But it would take something substantial. But I look at it like this: when you trade for a quarterback, compare him to the draft class coming out. Kyler Murray's up. He's either going to be the first or second quarterback taken if he was in this class,
He'd be the
him or
first.
Bryce Young. So that's why I would definitely consider it. But I doubt he'll be available. I think the expendable piece there is going to be Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be the one that gets axed, and they're just going to find another coach to build around their franchise guy. But I'll definitely make the call, though. And I'm definitely making the call for Aaron Rodgers just to see. Because he's playing with a bunch of toddlers in Green Bay, and he still looks like Aaron Rodgers with a broken finger. Imagine him with the weaponry we have here and the defense we have.
It'd be pretty good. But what do you make? Again, I don't know if his performance and what we saw after Sunday night's game. What do you make a call for Jordan Love? I don't know if he's going to be available. Probably not. But
he's too much of a mystery. Like I don't know what he is, and he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years at this point. 5 years in an enigma.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
They're gonna have to try and pick up his 5th-year option this upcoming offseason. So that's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. So that could also be in the works as well. But yeah. Anything else? Any other stuff you want to say on the quarterback class?
I don't know why they would be fielding offers for him, but a guy we loved and considered trading up for, if Chicago floated out Justin Fields on the trade wire, I'd make the call.
I'd make the call too. I definitely. I would give him this year's draft pick. I'd give him next year's draft pick. I'd give him the draft pick after that as well. So 2023, 2024, 2025 first. Give me Justin Fields.
That's aggressive, but I would do a substantial trade for Justin Fields because I think he would do well here. With what we do here and what we have here, like he's managed to grow without really any substantial help there in Chicago. They have a defensive-minded coaching staff, and they haven't given him much to work with, and he's managed to still take steps this year. I think Justin Fields can be an absolute superstar, and he's become a top 3 rushing quarter. Justin Fields is about to run for over 1,000 yards. He's like 6th in the league in rushing right now.
He's 6th in the league. Yeah, exactly. And he was out this week too, and I think he's still 6th in the league.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's crazy. All right. Well, we got Fields, Murray. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks this offseason, and I feel what Ron Rivera does this offseason will definitely tell a tale on if he's here in 2024 or not. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Anything else you want to say here?
You're not ready to hand Heinicke a large contract and say you're the guy?
Okay, wait. One thing we didn't bring up. Heinicke is a free agent this offseason. What do we do?
Bring him back on another cheap incentive-laden deal. Another deal that looked like with a bunch of monopoly money. Like here you go, Heinicke. 2 years,
a bunch of incentives or something.
2 years and like $9 to $10 million total of incentive-laden monopoly money. Like I'd seen something today, and it made me like cackle out loud. It said Taylor Heinicke's market value is $19 million a year going into this free agency, and I literally I wanted to throw my phone across the room.
19 million a year. For a guy that that has almost lost us multiple games this year,
Yeah,
single-handedly.
we're talking about a guy that doesn't even flirt with 300-yard games and barely flirts with 200-yard games.
Barely gets over 200.
Yeah, we went 9 quarters without seeing him score a touchdown. But I'm not here to harp on the Heinicke hate. It's not that we're hating; we're just being objective.
Exactly.
Paying Heinicke $19 million to play football would be football malfeasance, and I would not support that decision at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel if hold on, like he's basically throwing, I feel, as if he was Justin Fields from like week 1 to like week 5.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's completed like 11 passes a game, 11, 12, 10, 15.
It's mind-boggling to
15.
me because this is a guy who's been in Scott Turner's system for 4+ years. He's been with him in Minnesota. He's been with him in Carolina, and he's been with him for multiple years in Washington, yet they still have training wheels on him. They still treat him like he's a rookie quarterback. And people say, y'all would just hate on Howell if he got it. No, Howell is 21 years old. You accept these rookie mistakes on a weekly basis from a 21-year-old who's wet behind the ears. Taylor about to turn 30.
Exactly.
He's been in the league for
But people will tell you he's gonna have that Geno Smith jump next year. Trust.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people believe, man. Like, and man, like, and we haven't even talked about Sam Howell. At some point, I want to see if Sam Howell can play NFL football, but he's a fifth round pick.
Yeah,
he's a 5th round pick. We don't have to babysit him or treat him like or pacify him like he's the 1st round pick. But I want to see what he can do at some point because
and
he's in the middle. He's in the middle of Wentz and Heinicke to me. He's mobile like Heinicke, but he runs better, and he has an arm like Wentz. I at least want to see what he could do running this system at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's another incentive to clinch a playoff spot before Week 18, because if the Cowboys do end up getting a higher seed or they can't move anywhere in the playoff picture come Week 18, they're probably going to bench Micah Parsons. They'll probably bench some of their other starters, and same for us if we can't do the same, and if we're still going to have a away game probably.
That would be so opportune to be able to start Howell and make the playoffs. Like Week 18, like that would be so reminiscent of the Chiefs doing that with Mahomes. Remember that year that Alex Smith last started for the Chiefs? Their final game of the season versus the Broncos, they started Mahomes. Mahomes didn't throw any touchdown, but you saw all the flashes of brilliance that we later got to see on a full-time basis starting the next season. So it would be great to see a flash of what Sam Howell could be and a playoff spot. That would be like a win-win for us, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we are. All right. Well, where can people find you on social media?
Oh, yeah. Just like you see down here at Rio_Robinson91 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube at Rio Robinson. Shows called Rambling with Rio. We're almost up to 6,000 subscribers. And if you're at the stadium at any point this year, come holla at me, man. I'm vlogging. I'm always having a good time. We keep it fun. And we rep the burgundy and gold all year long. And we do it from an impartial and objective point of view. I'm a lot, but I'm not for everyone, but I am for most, man. I appreciate you for having me today.
All right, no problem. Left hand up.
Yes, sir.
All right, see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Yes, sir.